Welcome back, family, to the Doctor Next Door. I'm your host, Dr. George Corday, and I have a really special guest today, Chris. He's a friend of a friend, and he went through something traumatic and changed his whole mind frame and made some great health improvements. As a doctor, I know you guys get tired of me lecturing you and talking about different things. It's always best to hear from real people and what they went through, how they overcame adversity and are living healthier lives. So welcome to the show, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Yes. So a good friend of mine was telling about his health journey, and then he said, man, my boy Chris had a crazy story as well. So I said, hey, man, let's get Chris on the show. So leading up to your diagnosis, did you notice anything? Was anything off?
You know what? I would say, so my wife and I usually will go home to Virginia end of September, first week of September. We enjoy the drive. We enjoy that company and just our me time.
Sure.
So this particular morning we left, nothing out of the abnormal. We left about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. The route that we usually take is the turnpike. So we'll do Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania turnpikes. So this one particular morning we had been driving probably 4 hours or so. We made our normal stop to get some gas, get some food. And at that time I wasn't necessarily watching what I ate. We grabbed some breakfast sandwiches, hash browns, and some orange juice.
Yeah.
So we actually ate, gassed up, and then hit the road. So I had my orange juice with me.
Okay.
So what I noticed, and usually for me, the first part of the drive is always the toughest because it's night driving. But usually once the sun rises, it gives me the energy. We got the adrenaline of going home on vacation.
Sure.
Well, I noticed on this particular morning, after drinking the orange juice, that I had this sudden drowsiness coming on me. And I said, I got some rest tonight. I usually am not drowsy.
Right.
But I noticed that I just all of a sudden got very sleepy.
Yeah.
And put a pin in that for a second. So probably a month before that, we were on another road trip. My wife is in a band.
Okay.
And we had gone to Indianapolis. The band actually had a gig in Indianapolis that particular night. And I went with them on this night to kind of help drive because after they performed, they're pretty tired. And I'm a driver. I love to drive.
Sure.
So I remember us stopping on the way back, gassing up, grabbing some snacks at the gas station. And I remember grabbing a ginger ale, and I think I had some chocolate covered peanuts. Again, same episode. As we're driving, I'm kind of snacking, drinking my drink, and I had that certain urge of that drowsiness.
Drowsiness,
just out of the blue, fatigue, out of nowhere. And the first episode, I kind of just chalked it up. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. We've been out for quite a while at this point. Maybe I'm just tired.
Sure.
But it was the second episode on the way home where I kind of said, something's not quite right.
Okay.
So I stopped drinking the orange juice. I started drinking some water that I had with me. And I would say maybe 20 to 30 minutes after drinking water, I just felt like myself.
Okay.
Didn't really think too much about it at the time, but kind of put a little side note in my mind like,
Yeah.
And being that I work in healthcare, being around a lot of seeing diagnosis, seeing diabetes and seeing different types of diagnoses, I'm always kind of aware like, that's not necessarily normal.
And what do you do for our audience, Chris? What do you do in healthcare?
So I am a pathologist assistant. I work in the pathology department. I am actually a general manager for a private autopsy company. And I've been, again, for about 30 years, been around. Correct. So we get down to Virginia. I'm not a heavy drinker, never been. I am social. On vacation, I will have a few drinks here and there, but never want to have one every other day, every day, or so forth.
Sure.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But we're on vacation. I'm enjoying myself. Not overdoing it, but I am enjoying myself.
Mm-hmm.
So week 2 into the vacation, I had another episode where my vision, I woke up one morning and my vision was blurred. Like I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I honestly couldn't see. And I kept that to myself because I'm like, okay, hold on. I know something's not quite right.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really put my finger on it yet, but I just knew something wasn't quite right. But I did have the awareness to say, you know what? We kind of been overdoing it, just kind of eating anything we want to eat. Yeah. I've had a few drinks over the last 2 weeks.
Right.
I'm going to stop because I needed to drive back to Chicago in 2 days.
So I just want to clarify something. So you're on vacation, you having a good time, you're doing whatever, and you just couldn't see? And did it last like for a couple moments, or was this like a couple hours? Was this the whole day? Like how long did it last for?
So I woke up, that was our Friday morning that I woke up, and I could not, I mean, my vision was very blurred the entire day on Friday.
Wow.
When I woke up Saturday morning, it had improved.
Okay.
And again, I was super nervous because my wife had actually flown back to Chicago that Friday morning because she had to work with the band. So I was going to be driving back by myself.
Okay.
So I was really concerned. And again, not the smartest thing, but I kind of kept it to myself.
Yeah.
That's
stubborn man move 101, right? You know, don't tell nobody. I'm gonna walk it off. You know, my man couldn't see, and he's like, I'm gonna drive back.
Listen, I'm gonna rub some dirt on it, and we're gonna keep it going.
That's old school. Old school. Go ahead.
So I kind of cut myself off Friday from doing, you know, any drinking or anything, because I wanted to see if what my suspicion was then was on point. So I didn't do anything Friday. I kind of kept my diet clean. I didn't drink anything, a lot of water. Saturday, it improved. I left Sunday morning at, I think it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. By the grace of God, because I actually threw some prayer in as well before hitting that road, my vision had improved dramatically.
Okay.
So right then was the first, okay, we got something going on here.
Yeah.
We have something going on.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, I'll just tap in with the listeners that, you know, blurry vision, losing your sight is pretty pronounced. Usually you would expect it to just completely go away, but you can definitely have significant alterations in your vision if you have issues with glucose or diabetes or prediabetes. Okay, so, you know, you've been through all this, right? And now you get back, presumably. And do you go see somebody? Are you concerned? Or was there some moment that was like, hey, okay, now I gotta actually go get checked. Hey, look, this is too big for the old school man in me, man. I actually gotta go get this checked out.
Well, when I got back, I kind of chalked it up. I again did the man thing. I rubbed some Chicago dirt on it and figured, okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't until later in September that I had another episode of the blurred vision. Again, because I had kind of picked up wasn't drinking, but I was back to what my normal eating habits were.
Sure.
But the red flag, or the additional red flag, was I was starting to have to use the restroom quite often.
Okay.
Like every 45 minutes I had to go.
Okay.
And so it was then what I knew something's.
Okay. So I wanted to hear what your normal diet for you was at that time.
So at that point, I didn't necessarily eat breakfast every morning if I had time, because my work schedule is pretty hectic, pretty busy. I'd eat breakfast, which could be some eggs, bacon, maybe some pancakes. As far as lunch, dinner, I didn't necessarily do lunch, but dinner, it was quick things to pick up. You know, if I didn't cook, or my wife didn't cook the night before, we just didn't do anything. It was, hey, I'm taking a break, going to lunch, going to dinner. I'm going to grab something. So unfortunately, a lot of it was what was accessible to get something in me.
Quick, fast food, maybe.
Quite fast food. Yeah, unfortunate fast food. Sometimes I try to go a little healthy, maybe do some grilled chicken from a local restaurant or something like that.
Sure.
But it wasn't perfect, but it was more because I was on the go. I just kind of, Yeah.
Okay. Let's fast forward to when you went in and you were talking to them about how you have to urinate a lot.
Yeah. So once that kicked in, I had a suspicion that I was either pre or diabetic. It was pretty immediate. And it was a comment that my wife made one morning. She says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Well, why are you asking?" She said, "Your eyes." She said, "Your eyes look like something is going on, like you're sick."
Yeah.
And that was one of the shake-up moments because,
you
know, your wife knows you. Even when you don't know you, she knows you.
Shout out to the wives. They know.
Shout out to the wives, man. Well, so that was in October. That was like the first weekend of October. So she says, "We're making an appointment." I said, "I agree." And it's at that moment I told her, I said, "Babe, you know what? I think I'm either pre or diabetic." And she says, "Really?" And she said to me, she says, but you don't really eat a lot of sweets. I said, well, diabetes doesn't just come from just eating sweets. I said,
Correct. Correct.
it's a lifestyle. It's a
Correct.
lifestyle that
Correct.
eventually catches up with you. And I said, I
Absolutely.
think it's caught up with.
Yeah. Yeah. And how old are you for our listeners, Chris?
I'm 55.
55. Even though you feel good on the outside and are able to do things, it's not a good reflection of what's going on in your insides, folks. Age has a way, man. All right. So let's get to your appointment. So you get in, and how does that go, Chris?
So I get so much. So before my appointment, I had actually started on my own, just making a lifestyle change. I started to eat cleaner. I deliberately cut the deliberate sugars out, the juices, the things that are known for sugar. So I try to prep myself because I made the appointment in October, but my appointment wasn't until February, unfortunately, because of course of how busy it is to get in to see a doctor.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of months of my own just trying to work some things out, kind of prepare myself for what I knew was probably going to be the outcome of being diabetic.
Can you speak to what some of those changes were?
Sure. So I cut out fast foods. I cut out a lot of the breads, the white rice. I hadn't necessarily cut potatoes out, but I didn't do fried foods. I did more fruit. I cut out the orange juice, the juices. And I found out later which I thought I was doing to kind of help myself because of my frequent urination. I would drink Gatorade thinking, hey, I need to keep myself hydrated. I need to keep the electrolytes up because just as much as I'm putting in, within 45 minutes or so, every 45 minutes, it's being released.
Yeah.
So I just cleaned up my diet, and I actually had started to lose weight doing that. And I know part of the weight loss was also the frequent urination because now I'm getting all of the excess water out of the tissue. That's actually going as well because my body didn't know. My body thought it's sugar. Right. Let's get rid of this. So everything I took in, my body was putting out.
Yeah. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, that urination is a sign. Frequently urinating or always thirsty. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes it could be a sign of prediabetes or diabetes. All right. So continue, please.
Okay. So I make the changes, and then I finally get to February and get to the doctor's office, and he says, hey, why are you here? And I said, I'm either pre-diabetic or I'm diabetic. I'm pretty certain. And I explained all of the symptoms, everything that had gone on previous to the visit. So he said, okay, let's check. So he has the nurse come in, poke my finger, and she comes back, or they both come back 5 minutes later. He says, yeah, you're diabetic. And it wasn't a shock. It didn't necessarily hit me hard because again, I pretty much knew that it was.
Sure.
My A1C at that time, he says, your A1C is pretty high. It was a 12.4 at the time.
Wow. So 12.4 for the listeners is extremely high. Once you get, I believe above 6.5 and towards 7, you automatically have a diabetes diagnosis. So you can imagine if you're at 12, right, you're very high risk at this point, very severe case. So go ahead.
Absolutely. My sugar, my glucose was high 2s, almost 3. And he asked me how I felt. And I said, doctor, I don't feel bad. I said, but I knew that I was in some trouble.
Sure.
The good news is, and he gave me kind of some confidence kind of going into it. He said that I had made the right decision months leading into the visit to change my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he says, Mr. Peace, he says, although your numbers are extremely high, he said, we can probably get you control within about 3 or 4 months. He said, I don't think you're going to have a problem getting control. He said, because you've done the right things. You just need help. We need to get your body some help.
Yeah.
To get you over the hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, shout out to the wife, shout out for getting in early, shout out for taking initiative in your own health. Like something is not right. I'm thankful you got your vision back, but losing your vision is not something you should just sneeze at and be like, I'll be good tomorrow. Like, yeah, you should get checked out, right? I'm having difficulty or changes in my urination pattern. This is not normal for me. Go get it checked out, guys, because that can make the difference in your life. All right. So did you get medications at this point? Was there some other shifts that you made mentally? Any other changes were made?
Well, so he prescribed me some insulin. I was going to have to take 12 units of insulin every night. He prescribed me metformin. My cholesterol was a little high, so he gave me a low dosage of some pills for the cholesterol. And he just pretty much told me, continue to do what I've been doing. He said, because it has helped. You just need, the medication is going to help you a little bit more.
Sure.
And then he actually gave me some other tips as far as foods to kind of avoid, because I told him that I started to eat more fruit, but there were a couple of the fruit choices that I made that weren't actually good choices when it comes to being diabetic, like bananas, mangoes, pineapple. And I was eating that quite often thinking, hey, I'm taking in some fruit, good sugar, but not necessarily the right choices in this case.
Yeah. So I think that's a great point. I'm a big believer that if you are in the mood for something sweet, I prefer you eat fruit, right? I think that's something that since we're kids, right? Fruit is good for you, right? But there is something called a glycemic index, right? So different food acts differently when it hits the body, right? When that glucose hits your bloodstream, the rate of rise or how high that glucose gets in your system is very different if you eat a blackberry, for instance, than if you eat a ripe banana. I'm not poo-pooing bananas, guys, hear my heart. I'm just saying that notice that there are differences in the types of fruit that you eat and their glycemic index, or the ability to raise your blood sugar rapidly. And if you're at risk or you already have a lot of other things going on that lead you towards diabetes, this can contribute to that as well. Not against other fruits before y'all cancel Dr. Corey. I'm just saying, Look at the glycemic index.
Right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So go ahead, brother. So you made some choices. The fruits were different. What other things happened?
So he also gave me a prescription where I have the
continuous glucose
Dexcom
monitoring.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm using the Libre, and I have Dexcom 7. They're giving me both. So right now I'm using the Libre so I can kind of monitor my glucose levels throughout the day.
Sure.
So after that, after the diagnosis, again, he told me, I think we can get you control. And I felt pretty good about it because I felt like I knew what was happening before. Now I have a confirmation. Now I have to really push this lifestyle change so that I can get better.
Yeah.
So when I left the doctor's office, I called my wife and we actually met up. But it was at that moment that I had that, and it's okay. I broke down.
Yeah.
Like I broke down because not necessarily because of the diagnosis necessarily, but there was a part of me that felt like I let myself down. I let some people down, let my family down. Like you let yourself get in this position.
Right.
But the other side of that, and I have told this to many people, it was actually a blessing. It's a diagnosis, but it's actually a blessing. Because if you use it how it's intended to be used, this stuff is a blessing. It can push you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And this diagnosis has pushed me to where I want to be.
I mean,
I'm actually, in a sense, it's crazy to say, it's almost grateful in a sense. Yeah. Because it helped me to say, you got to do something different.
Yeah. Life changing. And it's crazy. Like, no matter how many times I do this, how, brother, so you're not really caring about your health. You just going to work, doing the things. You're not, oh, I couldn't see. I got my vision back. Oh, it took those moments, accumulation of those moments to get to that point. And then the other trend I see, especially with men, unfortunately, is it's when you're with your wife, you have that diagnosis. That's what makes it real. You know what I mean? Because you had an inclination. It wasn't like a complete shock, like you keep saying, that you probably had prediabetes. But when it became real, now you got insulin, now you got metformin. Your doctor's saying, "Hey, this is your A1C," and you've got to look your wife in the face. And perhaps, I'm not going to speak for you. You looking at your life completely different. What if something happens to you, right? What if you're out there to support your wife? And I think that just that'll humanize any man, the strongest man, man. Hey, look, we'll break down off that, right? If I can't provide for my family, we're human,
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
we're human.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think that was well said, sir. So tell us about your transition, being on the insulin, metformin for a while, changing the fruits. Did you exercise more? Did you calorie restrict a little bit? And then kind of following up with your doctor and seeing kind of the numbers and how you went.
Listen, I went in. I went in. I asked the doctor, because he asked me, he said, "Are you working out?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And I said, "The only reason that I hesitated working out," I said, because, and he said it was correct. I was afraid of working out and pushing myself and exerting myself so much. When you work out, you're sweating. I'm already urinating as much as I am.
I see.
And I was afraid of dehydration between the two.
Yeah.
So I held off on the workout, but he green lighted me to start working out. He said that the metformin will over time start to change that pattern. He says you'll probably between the insulin and the metformin, you may put on weight. In the back of my mind when he said it, I said I didn't say it out loud, but in the back of my mind, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So I pushed through. I incorporated working out.
Yeah.
I started to read more, trying to figure out my niche as far as the diet's concerned.
Sure.
I got pretty dialed in on that. Started out going to the gym pretty often. I don't go to the gym as much anymore, but I do work out in my basement, so I am still pretty active.
Sure.
And listen, I feel great. Honestly, I feel great.
Yeah.
I'll say this, and I've heard this before. There's so many opinions when it comes to insulin and different types of medication and so forth and so on. And I've read those too because I wanted some real life reviews on that.
Sure.
That it works if you do your part. I'll say that.
Yeah.
You have to do, the medication is there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a big proponent of medication necessarily, but what I'm saying is medication is there to help you, but you have to help the medication. So my thought was, okay, he says this is going to help me. I got to do my part to help the medication.
Absolutely.
And it's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked.
So have you had a follow-up and did you get to review your numbers? I know every 3 to 6 months they redo it. Well, what was your A1C like? What was your glucose like? How has it been?
So my glucose levels have been pretty maintained. I actually will drop below as far as I don't spike. Again, because of my choices and foods and what I avoid. So my problem is staying on the level.
Okay.
But my last visit I had a couple of weeks ago, I wasn't even sure what my A1C was. I just didn't want to know until we got to the office.
Sure.
So I asked the doctor, say, hey, can you check my A1C? And he says, oh, you don't know? I said, no, I don't know. So check me and we're talking, doing a follow-up, and he comes back in, he says, your numbers are great. And I said, really? He said, Mr. Peace, we don't see this kind of turnaround. So now I'm nervous. So he says, you came in here at a 12.4.
Wow. So how many months is this for the listeners?
This is 3.5 months.
3.5 months. So the reason why this is so shocking to me as a medical professional and probably to yourself, Chris, is that 12.4 is extremely high. So this is like, if you didn't go in when you went in, things could have happened. You're getting into very dangerous territory. So for you to go from 12.4 to a normal A1C, and A1C is your measure of your blood glucose over 3 to 6 months. Okay. And now he's at a point where he's completely normal. He's not even pre-diabetic. So I think that's a testament to you listening to your doc, believing in the medication, but more importantly, believing in yourself, right? That conviction you had in your head where you're like, no, I'm not. Like, I think that's how you defied the doctor. Phenomenal story. Phenomenal. Excellent. So can you speak to how you feel? Have you noticed differences now that your A1C is better? You've committed to these changes. You're taking your meds. You're eating healthier. How do you feel?
Listen, I feel better than I have in 20 plus, almost 30 years, honestly. Before I started this, or before this whole thing, I was at 248 as far as my weight. I'm down to 200 exactly. And that was as of 3 weeks ago. I may be under 200 at
Very
this
good.
point.
Nice. It's almost 50 pounds or 50 or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So listen, I still have my days when I'm tired. That's just because of my work schedule and how I work. But I feel great. Like, for example, playing golf. I'm a golfer. I'm not a very good golfer, but I'm out there.
Okay.
But
hey, I'm one of those too, Chris. I got you.
I love the game. The game don't love me as much as I love it, but I'm out there.
we go out there for the scenery. They go out there to play. We go out there for the scenery.
But I've been playing for about 20 plus years or so. And I've never in my 20 years, I've always had to you work your game around what you can do. Your physical.
Yeah.
Maybe you weren't as flexible or, this year has been the first time I've been playing where I feel like I have flexibility. I don't have that weight.
Yeah.
I'm not tight after I play. I'm not tight before. Like my game hasn't improved, but I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Do you notice, I always want to ask this, I always forget on the episodes. Do you feel like it's helped your relationships at all, what you went through, your experience? Because I find like, when you have these wake up calls, it kind of shifts your mindset for you and life, but then it affects your relationships. Have you noticed that?
You know what? That's a great question, because when my wife and I met 20 years ago, I was never considered obese. Nobody ever said to me, dude, you're obese or anything. I was always considered big man because I had size.
Sure.
And that was one of the things that she liked about me. She liked my size.
Sure.
So I remember as I started to lose weight, it made me nervous because I'm like, she fell in love with big man. And I'm like, I'm not big man anymore. So I was a little nervous about it. So I asked her one day, I said to her, I said, babe, I said, and she says, I want the man. She said, and if this is what it has to be, she said, yes, I loved your size. She said, but I need you here.
Yeah.
She said, so do what you got to do because I need you here. So
I love it.
That was all I needed to hear.
I love it, man. I really appreciate you sharing your story with everybody, Chris. I got one last question for you. To someone that's out there, they're breaking down right now, Chris. They just got a diagnosis of diabetes, or they're overweight or obese. They've tried a few things and they feel like they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. What would you say to them about your journey and how to get them on the right track?
Listen, it's not the end of the world. It can be done. I consider myself just a normal guy, man. I don't, I look at people and we see people on TV and read stories about pretty amazing people. And I've never put myself in that category, and I still don't, but it can be done. Yeah. It can be done. You don't give up. You don't look at it as a death sentence, and you do what you have to do. You trust your advice of your doctors, and sometimes trust the medication, but you have to do your part. The medication is not just there to fix it all. You have to do your part. You can't lose weight. You can't go in the gym and stand by a treadmill and lose weight. You got to get on the treadmill.
That's right.
So you got to do your part.
I love it. Taking initiative of your health. Chris went from not being able to see, frequent urination, fatigue, to now 50-pound weight loss. A1C is normal. He has lost a lot of weight and feels amazing. I hope this inspires somebody out there. Let's all get our numbers checked and see if we are pre-diabetic or diabetic when we have our next follow-up. That's our takeaway this week. If this inspired you and you loved having Chris on the episode, please like, subscribe, or share. Take care of your people. Thank you guys for spending time on the Doctor Next Door. All right.